So, below we'll analyze the indicator of the gross domestic product, or GDP, for the periods 2020 and 2021, with which we will compare within the country. Ecuador for 2020 registered a drop GDP of 7.8%, and this due to the COVID-19. For pre-pandemic signs, the economy suffered a collapse, and there was also no export on import products, and above all oil imports, so that Ecuador records a clear loss of GDP decline in this year. And 2022, the GDP recovered by 4.3%, which is due to the increase in the basic salary, investment and capital accumulation, which occurred thanks to the growth of the economy after the pandemic. As conclusion to this indicator, we can assume that 3 was a decrease in the GDP in the year 2020 and 2021, and that this was resolved with the recovery of the economy and the end of 2021 and during 2022. Yeah. Another indicator that we'll analyze in the unemployment rate. For this, we will take as samples the periods between the 2020 and 2022 with the cities of Guayaquil and Quito, where we will make a comparison of business, unemployment, and public users. Unemployment rose 6.2%, and in 2022, in decrease in the city of Quito. During the pandemic, it rose 4.8%, and during 2022, it decreased 6.2%. This is due to the cut in public user in the pandemic and to the recovery of the post-pandemic economy, which is a time when companies are returning on their public users for the development of country's economy. And indicator of inflation, with respect to the inflation rate between Quito and Guayaquil, we can note that inflation in Quito averaged to as 89% in April of this year, according to the INEC. This is due to the increase in basic products in the basic basket, to the economy models that have been changing in this last period, where the president was changing, and the increase in the basic salary also influences, because it is assumed that with more money, there are enough more products or for those same products at the high price. According to the digital media, COBA first 2022 states that it also because in monthly terms in the EPC rose or 0.59 in April percent compared to the March. And recording Guayaquil inflation rose to the 3.0 as the 3% in 2021 and has remained in the present 2022 according to the ICNEC data.
Hi teacher, today we're going to talk about the public spending. So, according to the data of the Central Bank of Ecuador, it is categorized by quarters. So what we are going to do is to sum all these quarters of 1 year and make it in one account. So we're going to do this with the year 2020. Okay, so the total public expense that we have, it was $42 billion invest in this public expense. But just an 80% of this total goes to the permanent expense. And you will tell me like, what is that permanent expense? Well, this is, for example, the salaries of the public employees, like the president, the police, and the military. Then we have the purchase of goods and service, like the water, the light, all of that, the internet. And then we have the security benefits. Okay, so let's remember that this was in the middle of the pandemic. Okay, while in 2019, the total public expense was $38 billion invest. But in here, it has an increase of the 82% of the permanent expense. Okay, let's remember that in 2019 it was the start of the pandemic. So it is not kind of logical that we have this increase of the public expense, because we were practically confined in our home because of this new pandemic of the COVID-19. So for me, it's weird that here there is an increase of the total public expense. That's why even after years before of the pandemic, we have these cases of corruption, that they were these purchases over the price of some products in the medicine and more stuff like that. But it was a decrease on the permanent expenses, that, as we said, it was the salaries of public employees, purchases of goods and services, and the benefits from security. Okay, so in conclusion, we can see that there was this increase in the pandemic of the total expense, but it was this decrease on the permanent expense. So we can conclude that the state of the expenses are mainly focused in the salaries and the good purchase and the purchases of goods and services. That's why this money is not managing well, because it is clear that this money it's going directly to people that, well, they work, but they are maybe not officially. So this money could go to the beneficial of the society, but it is in the bureaucrats now. Okay, let's pass with the active and the passive interest rate. According to the central bank, we have 8 sectors that are going to be the sectors that are like the companies that are going to go to receive money. So as there are 8 sectors, we're going to do a promedium of this, and the result of this was 16.6% of the interest active. But if we search in other banks of Latin America, we can see that, for example, the Bank of República of Colombia have a 9.3% towards any sector. Let's remember that we have the money of the dollar and Colombia have the money of the peso. So of course it can be influenced by the inflation, but we can see that the active rate is really high towards Colombia. It's almost like it duplicates. So I think that it wouldn't be really beneficial for any company, well, like for a small company, to receive financial help from the government right now, because this active rate it is right now. Okay, let's go to the passive rate to compare. Okay, it is said that the government give a policy. What is a policy? A policy is when a company, actually, because you as a citizen you can go to the central bank of the Ecuador. You go there and you invest some, or you lend some money to the bank, and then after some time you're going to receive that money, and they're going to give you a percentage of that with the money you invest, so you will get more money. So that's beneficial. Okay, so the ratio of the company is around 5.6% annual, and in the Republic Bank of Colombia the ratio is 6%. Okay, so in this rate we can conclude that the Bank of Colombia has this percentage are really good, because in the case of the active, it isn't that really elevate as a ratio as we have. So this could be a really help for many companies that are starting. Like now, because of the pandemic, many people lost his job, because now and of course in the past we have to do the things virtually, so that's why many people lost their job. So for that people that maybe needs money and can make a group with other people to build a company as an entrepreneur, it wouldn't be that beneficial to go to Ecuador right now, because the rate is really high. But if he can go to Colombia, that would be really efficiently and beneficially, actually, because of the rating. And that includes to the passive, because, well, in here is kind of contrary, because of more high it is, more beneficial it is to you, but in the passive it is the lowest is more beneficial. So as we can see, and as we mentioned before, as the rate of Colombia it's really high, like the 6%, it's really beneficial to invest this money with the bank, because you're going to have more money that is going to be receiving to you without doing anything, almost, because it is a bank and the policy is it's that you lend money to the bank. Okay, so that's the conclusion we can make about these are the sources, and thank you for your attention, teacher. I expect that this video was informative to you, and even you can learn, or even if you just know these things, you could almost enjoy this. Thank you. Bye, teacher.